let's give you some perspective now on that story. I'm joined live in our Nairobi studios by legal expert Tom Maliti. He is from the International Justice Monitor. Tom, thanks for joining us. And let's start with this concession on evidence rule. Some are calling this a victory for Kenya. Others say this is just merely a non-binding agreement. What's your take on that?
Thank you for having me. I think it's a concession in terms of the political discussions or negotiations that took place at the Assembly of State Parties. Kenya managed to get its way, so to that extent. But in terms of what it means for instance, what's happening in court or what will happen in court, it's not so much a concession. It doesn't change anything.
And let's talk about the case against Kenyan Deputy President William Ruto. How do you see it going now with this concession on evidence rule? I mean, will this make a significant difference?
As far as the trial of Deputy President William Ruto and former Journalist Joshua Rapsang is concerned, the trial continues, and the judges who are now considering an appeal on the question of what evidence they can look at, they will be making their decision based on the merits of the arguments that have been presented to them by the lawyers for Ruto and Sang, as well as the prosecution. In terms of the specifics of what is being called a concession, the Assembly of State Parties agreed to introduce Kenya's viewpoint into the report of the Assembly of the State Parties, but there's a separate document that the Assembly of State Parties adopts, which is called an omnibus, and that introduced specific changes to rules and so on where need be. Now, Kenya's concerns were not addressed in that omnibus, and therefore legally the judges are not bound by what has been decided at The Hague this week.
And why do you think South Africa did not address a possible ICC withdrawal?
I think because, first of all, for South Africa, that was a decision made by the party, the African National Congress. I don't think it was a decision that has been considered by the cabinet. And also South Africa perhaps was deferring to Kenya because the question of withdrawal has been on Kenya's agenda for about 5 years when Parliament first passed a resolution asking the government to withdraw from the International Criminal Court. So far, that has not happened, and therefore South Africa may have thought, well, since this was more Kenya's thing than our thing, we defer to them, and if Kenya is going to withdraw, then we might follow suit in solidarity. But if Kenya is not doing it, then there's no reason for us to do it at the moment.
All right, Tom Maliti, live for us in Nairobi. Many thanks, Tom.